Hi, and welcome back to this Free-for-All Friday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. This is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on conservative talk radio. AFR Talk, the most dangerous and feared radio network in all of America. Glad to have you in the conversation. Want to welcome to our decision maker line John Stemberger. John is the founder of OnMyHonor.net. This is an organization that was formed in response to this cataclysmic lurch by the Boy Scouts of America away from the values that they have honored for all 103 years of their existence. John, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Brian, it's great to be with you again.
Well, thanks for being with us, John. And I want to begin by talking about what's going on in California, because one of the points I've frequently made on this program is we've got to understand about homosexual activists, it's never, ever enough for them. That's why they must be resisted. They must be fought every step, every inch. We cannot capitulate, cannot concede, cannot give up 1 square centimeter of ground. And in California, yesterday, the California Senate passed a bill 27-9 that's designed that will, if it's passed and signed into law by the governor, remove tax-exempt status from the Boy Scouts of America even after they made this decision to allow homosexual scouts. They said until they allow homosexual scout leaders, we're going to remove their tax-exempt status. So I guess bottom line, John, like your reaction to this, seems to me that it's never enough with the homosexual activists.
Well, our culture is sexually insane. That's just the bottom line. And everywhere you turn, there's hypersexuality in every nook and cranny, media, internet, the Walgreens store. You can't go anywhere in the world without just sex being just jammed down your throat. And unfortunately, the Boy Scouts of America used to be a safe haven for parents where you could put your kid in a program that had moral consistency, that you could trust. You knew what the standards were. You knew what the rules were. Unfortunately, they have caved to massive pressure that I think goes all the way from the White House down, and they have been a part of the fundamental transformation of America. Congratulations. And so now we're going to inject sex and politics right into the veins of the Boy Scouts of America. It's a very sad day for America, but I'm very encouraged, Brian, because what has happened, it's been a backlash. There's been literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of parents, chartering partners, scouts, scoutmasters that are leaving the program en masse, and we are having a coalition meeting next month with major national partners, financiers, serious research, and we're going to have an alternate scouting type program that's going to produce that parents can trust, and they don't have to view as a risky proposition. So we're very excited about the new venture, and we're excited about what it's going to be. There's no one's invested in any name or concept right now. We're all going to kind of come together and really seek the collective wisdom of the group and figure out what's the best way to proceed.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that move and that meeting in just a moment. But backtracking to the Boy Scouts just for a moment, I mean, last summer, John, the executive committee, as I remember, unanimously reaffirmed the longstanding policy that was upheld by the Supreme Court in 2000. They did the most extensive polling of their internal polling earlier this year. 61% of people active in scouting said we want to uphold the policy as it exists. How do you explain the fact that we had 61% of people that are active in scouting could suddenly reverse 103 years of Boy Scout values? I mean, what's your explanation for that abrupt reversal of direction?
It's utter madness, and really, it's remarkable. I mean, you're exactly right. A year ago, almost less than a year ago, I was in a restaurant directly across from my office here, and I met the National Commissioner of the Boy Scouts of America, Tico Perez. I grew up with Tico. He is the highest volunteer in the Boy Scouts, and he is part of the Key Three. He is one of the primary 3 leaders in scouting right now on a national basis. And I said, hey, what's going on with the membership policy? And he was very clear with me. He said, hey, don't worry, we got it locked down. We just did a 2-year study, and we concluded that this is, quote, the absolute best policy for the Boy Scouts of America, close quote. That was what they said in the Associated Press. Less than a year ago. We're talking about July of last year. The absolute best policy, okay? And what happened was when they affirmed that policy, the cultural bullies of our day went nuts. And they just began to scream with every bit of vitriol they have. They threw letters and phone calls and emails. They harassed them with videos, Penn and Teller, Madonna, Bill Gates. I mean, the cultural bullies just went after them. And unfortunately, they did not pass the test of moral relativism. They caved. They had a lust in my opinion, a lust for the approval of cultural elites. And that's what guided this entire decision. It was not about principle. It was not about the Scout Oath. It was not about what parents or what Scoutmasters wanted. It was about them being accepted and them being in the in club. They showed polling on gay marriage. They showed polling from Gallup on the acceptance of homosexuality. They wanted to be popular instead of being correct. And that's what drove this whole thing.
Well, and you look at the Senate bill in California that's going to remove tax-exempt status from the Boy Scouts even after they allowed homosexual scouts. I mean, it's clear that if that's what they were doing, and I agree with you, just pandering, wanting certain people and organizations and whatever to say nice things about them, maybe just tired of getting beat up in the media. So if they thought this was a move that was going to work, that was going to buy them some approval, it looks like they were dead wrong. I mean, they're going to lose their tax-exempt status in California. You got homosexual activists already out there beating on their pots and pans. It's not enough. You're discriminating against adult Scoutmasters. And it would seem to me, John, and I'd like your take on this, it seems to me it's just going to be a matter of a short period of time before the Scouts do, in fact, allow adult homosexuals to serve as Scout leaders.
Oh, it'll happen within 2 years or less. Guaranteed. Mark my words. You can set your calendar to it. As soon as the policy goes into effect, January 1, litigation will be immediately commenced. They'll find the 17-year-old decorated Eagle Scout who's openly gay and turns 18 and has to be put out of the program. And there'll be some non-discrimination statute in some state that they'll file and say, hey, we're being discriminated against. Again, those are being used as weapons against good people that have good faith beliefs. And as a result of that lawsuit, a judge will tell them they won't have to do it themselves. The BSA will not have to do it internally. Courts will order them to do it because they no longer have the protection of BSA versus Dale as a result of their decision. They were treated from the principles in Dale. They're completely vulnerable now to legal attack, and that'll happen. If not a local challenge, it'll be an equal protection challenge under the U.S. Constitution. Either way, within 2 years, there'll be open homosexuality within the entire program.
You know, I'm guessing there are some parents that say, well, I'll leave my kid in Scouts now because we don't have a homosexual Scout leaders. But there's nothing, as I understand, nothing that would prevent, there's no policy in the Scouting organization that would prevent a 17-year-old homosexual male who may, in his secret life, be quite active from sleeping in the same tent with an 11 or 12-year-old Scout. I think it's very common in Scouting to have two men to a tent or two boys to a tent. So you've got obvious risk there. And John, on your website, onmyhonor.net, encourage you to go there if you want to follow this issue, onmyhonor.net. I was just struck by something that I did not know about, John, and I want you to talk to our folks about that. The Boy Scouts have a series of videos, youth protection videos, dealing with this issue of homosexual child abuse, sexual abuse. And there was an astonishing figure that the Boy Scouts have in their own video materials that would tell us it would be insane to allow a 17-year-old homosexual in the same tent with an 11-year-old boy.
Yeah, I mean, basically, their own training protection materials indicate that 70% of all abuse within Scouting, now that includes all abuse, physical abuse primarily, but all abuse comes from boys. It does not come from adults. I was always concerned about the boys from day one. This is going to increase boy-on-boy sexual contact, and that is going to contribute further to the public scandal within Scouting, not to mention the tragedy of literally countless boys whose lives have been damaged and turned around because of physical, sexual, and psychological abuse as a result of this. It's really a tragedy, and I said this before, if even one boy, Brian, is going to be violated, shame on the Boy Scouts of America. Shame on those leaders for not having the courage to stand up for what's best for the boys and caving to a militant lobby. I mean, it is deplorable what they've done. It is unprincipled. It is sad. It is a sad day in America. But parents are getting this. They're trying to say, oh, this is just a change. Each church can determine who they're going to. Now they're trying to switch back now by answering some questions to charting partners by saying, oh, you can determine who's in and out of your troop. Bottom line is this. The new policy, every single unit, doesn't matter who charters you, must accept an open and avowed homosexual 16, 17-year-old who's there for motives that are less than good.
And this
Bottom line.
This would certainly seem to me, John, to be a time when the words of 2 Corinthians 6:18 apply. Come out from among them and be ye separate, as the King James puts it. No time to waste. Parents need to get their kids out of that environment. Their kids are at risk if they stay there. And that gives us about 2 minutes left, John, to talk again. I want you to revisit this meeting that's coming up in June to talk about the formation of an alternative to the Boy Scouts. Walk us through that again.
Yeah, folks, if you go to our website at onmyhonor.net, sign up for the email alert, and you'll be updated with everything that's happening. But basically, we are creating an alternate scouting type organization. We're bringing together a huge coalition of denomination partners, financial partners, people that have been in scouting for many, many years, and just other leadership of organizations that have an interest in this. And we're going to put our heads together. We're doing specific market research. We're looking at every avenue. We're going to talk to boys. We're going to talk to parents. And within the fall, we will have a fully functioning program that troops and Cub Scout units can transition into to actually become a part of a new movement of a youth character development program, faith-based, that can be trusted by parents and faith leaders.
And John, I just want to revisit that because that is extremely ambitious. You're telling us that your goal is to have an up and running and functioning organization as an alternative to the Boy Scouts by the fall.
It is ambitious, and it will be a work in process. But we want to have something by the fall, clearly by the end of the year. When the policy takes place for troops to start tapping into. At a very minimal. It won't be a fully functioned program, obviously, because that'll take a couple of years to actually accomplish. But we will have enough of infrastructure in place, identity, name, registration, uniforms, kind of a ranking schedule, and a program that we'll be able to launch within the fall.
Our guest has been John Stemberger. He's the founder of OnMyHonor.net. Encourage you to go there, OnMyHonor.net, to stay abreast of this response to the Boy Scouts decision. The formation of an alternative organization that you as a parent would have absolute confidence in, that your boy will be treated, his sexual integrity will be protected, moral character will be infused in him, an organization that will reinforce the values that you are seeking to instill in your sons at home. Well, John, thank you very much for being with us. Thanks for everything you do for the pro-family movement in the state of Florida. God bless you, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Brian.
John Stemberger, onmyhonor.net is the website. I encourage you to go there. Focal Point AFR Talk, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Give us a call. Join the conversation. Back in 2.